Welcome, everybody. I had a sweater on earlier because yesterday it rained like crazy. And then I walked outside, and as you can see, it's hot today. So anyway, curious. If you're new with us today, we'd like to welcome you. And if you would like a packet, we have a welcome packet on the wall, a blue welcome packet, or you can meet our welcome team out there on the desk and get one there. We have a treat today. Sue's son is here to sing for us, and we'd like to invite him up here now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start with a little Sanskrit chant for you, and no explanation needed. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Ya Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Ya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Doom Durga, Doom Durga, Durga Durga. Stream Tara, Stream Tara, Tara Tara. What's now is what always was. What's new is a new awareness. What's now is what always was. What's new is a new awareness. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Ya Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Ya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Stream Tara, Stream Tara, Tara Tara. And Doom Durga, Doom Durga, Durga Durga. A little chant. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That was beautiful. Hang on, let me get myself together. Okay. I'm Christy Carr, your practitioner for today, and I'd like to welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living, where we empower and inspire people to live spiritually fulfilling lives. The practitioners in service today are Mary and I, and we'll be up by the bell at the end of service if you'd like a prayer or treatment. Let's turn and wave to the camera as we invite the children. let's just take a moment and turn off our cell phones. And I'd like to thank every person here this morning that made today possible. We have some presentations of some awards I'm going to call Mary up for.
When a person takes a certificated class here, they are able, once they pass that class, to buy a certificate for it because it's certificated. But it means it's extra special. And it means that these certificates, if you get the 6 ones according to the program, you are ready to see if you qualify to get into practitioner training. So it takes about 2 years just to get this far to get the certificate so that then you can take an exam and a panel to get into practitioner training. So it's a real big deal. So I honor everyone who takes a certificated class. So Jonathan, please, I have a certificate for you. Irene Bulmer, I have a certificate for you. If I, come on up, yeah. And John. Is Dawn here? Dawn Crofell, our beautiful dancer? Okay, we'll save hers. I am so proud of you two. There you are, and this is for exploring the roots of science of mind. And believe me, that was a challenging 10-week class. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, today we are ending our plant sale. So if you'd like some plants, today's the day. We're gonna, after the service, start setting up for the rummage sale. So all you able bodies who are willing to help, we would appreciate that. It takes us all week just to set up for this. So let's get our save hours in and come in and help. The Essence of the Science of Mind with Dr. Reverend Mary is next Sunday from 11:15 to 12:15, where she shares the history of the science of mind. It's the spiritual, here, I believe, the history of our building. And she answers questions if you might have any. And that is one of 2 classes you're going to need if you'd like to become a member. We have a new thing to offer you this morning. Let me get it out. And I don't know if any of you know what this is, but it's a QR code, and we're going to have it as we pass the plate around today. There's one also at the board desk and at the welcome desk. And we do have the instructions on it, but it will be carried around with the plate if you'd like to make a donation this way. For you, those of you who don't carry change, which I don't. There's also one on your handout today, on the inside. And Sacred Sister Women's Group is going to meet next Monday, May 13th, from 7 to 8:30, where we go over the book, I Will Not Die, An Unlived Life. And it's a really good way for us women to get together, make friendships, and see what matters most in your life, and see another way to open up. Same night, Roy Wolstead is holding his men's group, where they also get together and have wonderful friendships. And the goal is to allow each man to become a better man. Wednesday, May 15th from 7 to 8:30 is a new class, Dharma, Finding Our Way. And if you weren't privileged enough to have the previous class, it was fantastic. It's an advanced class, and it's with Sue, Reverend Sue. And let's see, we're doing the Book of Dharma this time. Fantastic, fantastic advanced class. And it's a journey into the spiritual concepts of Dharma. We have our crystal bowl healing bath coming up, or Irene. And it's on Friday, May 17th from 6:30 to 8. And she uses her sound bowls to make this wonderful, beautiful healing energy sounds and vibrations. And it's healing frequencies will lead the meditations as we move through the chakras. Dancing with Spirit is also coming up on Saturday, May 18th from 6 to 8. I went to that last time, and let me tell you, it is fantastic. She does an ecstatic dance. She teaches you breath work, and you have these headphones on so nobody can hear anything anybody says or does. It opens your energies, you dance to it, and if you don't ever dance, like I never danced, I was dancing all over this place. So join us there. And there's a new seminar, Lighten Up. Seriously, don't take life so seriously is what it's about. It's on Sunday, May 19th from 12 to 1:30. And it's all about how you use laughter and joy. It can become a very powerful tool. So with that note, I will invite Steve up to do the reading. And, oh, yes. Does anybody have a birthday in the month of May? Shirley? It's Shirley's birthday today. Yay! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Oh, that's wonderful. Now we'll have a reading by Steve. Invite the bell, and I'll do a spiritual mind treatment, and then Reverend Sue will give her chalk. Here comes Steve.
Good morning, friends. This morning's reading is by Mark Nepo. An amazing writer. And I noticed Lori has some new books by Mark Nepo in the bookstore. So check them out, really. It's called We Will Be Quieted. For all the emphasis we rightly put on stillness, there is nothing wrong with motion. We simply need to inhabit a balance of nature's gifts. Living in a world of motion, we are constantly asked to quiet ourselves in order to glimpse and feel the truth of things. The way we wait for water to go still so we can see the bottom. This is particularly hard when we're in pain. Stillness calls us into joy as well. Like everyone, I have struggled with being still and quieting myself my entire life. Yet after all this way, I feel like a leaf that has somehow fallen in the middle of the stream only to be carried along. Time and again, I am humbled, broken, and opened at once by the mysterious fact that life is all things at all times. For every death, there is somewhere a birth. For every clarity, there is somewhere a confusion. For every pain, there is somewhere a joy. And being simple human beings, we can't possibly comprehend or hold it all. But briefly, when still, we can feel it. Like a shell being hollowed by the sea, we are slowly cleansed. Hard as this is, it is worth everything. In this unexpected moment after pain, I realize that when things fall apart, they make a lot of noise. Yeah, when things come together, they do so quietly and slowly, and so we often miss them. Yet things are constantly coming together, though we have forgotten how to hear them. It seems that much of our work is helping each other stay awake to one common world, individually and in community. When we can still our pain enough to experience our feelings in their connectedness, their depth and oneness ground us and make us resilient. Together, our feelings are a powerful resource. When we slow, the light we carry spreads. When I honor this, I regain my grasp and feel of the whole, which gives me the strength to stop running. When I am quiet enough to listen to my pain, I can remember and experience how everything is joined and regain a sweet resilience from every point of joining.
Let's take a big, deep breath, close our eyes, and join with me in knowing that there is one love, one light, one mind, one God. Whatever you call it, it is that. An eternal force that moves through all creation. It wanders its way in, throughout all that exists. It is all my senses can fathom, and so much more. This love, this light, is everywhere present. It runs throughout our veins, deep within our souls. This one love circles around us and through us. My body is an aspect and expression of this one love, and I am connected with all of that. I know for me, as I know for you, that we are part of this very substance as we sit here today, that there is a magic showing itself in and throughout everything. The breath of the air flowing through the trees, water trickling over the rocks, making its way down the mountainside, the very earth we walk, blooming everywhere we look. When we look from a soul level, we see this magic. We feel this magic. We taste this magic. And as Reverend Sue speaks today, we hear the magic. We sit listening eagerly to each voice, each word, knowing that Spirit is speaking directly to us. So we listen deep within as Spirit whispers its love within our soul, reminding us of our own perfection. As we open to that still small voice, we hear exactly what is ours to hear, what is ours to know, and what is ours to feel, and what is ours to share with the world. So as we leave here today, our hearts shine bright, illuminating even the darkest places, causing a flicker in all hearts, reminding everyone of their own light. As we talk, we sing loving music into the ears of those needing to remember their own oneness. Our energy ripples throughout the land, making a loving wave in all lives. So shine your light, shine bright for all to see. Dance your energy and make that ripple, and sing that song as loud as you can, knowing that you are changing the world just as you are, spreading joy throughout all. I have such gratitude for the magic, the opportunity to witness miracles inside and out, for the words of Earnest Holmes, for the journey itself. I release this prayer into the law, knowing it is so, and so it is. Reverend Sue.
Morning. Well, there's a full plate for all of you already, isn't there? Beautiful reading, Mark Nepo, and lovely prayer, and my son. So incredibly proud of my two children and my Sarah, Charlie's daughter. I live in a bubble of sweetness. So I was reading my notes today, and there they are. They were out of order. So we're talking about finding our way this month. Okay, we continue the journey, the spiritual journey, life's journey. And one of the books that's highlighted this month by CSL organization is The Light Maker's Manifesto. It looks like this: How to Work for Change Without Losing Your Joy by Karen Walrond. And I'm finding it to be an incredible read in these times, because oftentimes I found myself saying, because I was a hippie, so I used to carry the signs and do all that kind of stuff, and rally and protest, and the Vietnam War, and and now I'm kind of shy about that stuff. And I remember years ago, Dr. Andrea used to have a group of women in black, she called it, and just silently standing in different corners, women would gather in protest to the war going on at that time. And I kept thinking, I want to engage in these things, social activism. And yet the spiritual aspect has made me pull back a little bit, thinking, I don't want to cause any more division. Anyway, this book just gives you a very gentle lead into what can you do. The author herself found her way through blogging and through photography. So we all have a gift, and we all have a way. So we'll be talking a little bit about that, and taking parts of her reading to share together for our growth. Today's topic is the inner landscape. And we start off with John O'Donohue. Anamkara was one of his popular writings. And he has this particular quote: "When you cease to fear your solitude, a new creativity awakens in you. Your forgotten or neglected wealth begins to reveal itself. You come home to yourself and learn to rest within. Thoughts are our inner senses. Infused with silence and solitude, they bring out the mystery of the inner landscape." So, this is our theme. We're all looking to find our way. What's our purpose? And so, as always, the invitation from the platform and through all the classes is for you to spend time alone, but also with one another, and self-reflect. Because the answers that you're seeking to every question are revealed if you get quiet enough. If you're calling out in your own heart for your direction, where's my way? What do I do next? Listen to the inner landscape, because the answer is calling back to you. So nature, I love this idea that nature is already informing us of this. If we pay attention to all the vistas around us, we'll recognize how beautiful a field of wildflowers are. And when the grass blows gently in that most magical way, when the breeze flows across it, it just inspires us of a moment of awe. Now, last week, Jim Nelson hosted several guests for the Nourishing Our Community event. Some of you were guests there, and that those of you that bid. And what happened there, his property is alive with nature. Some of it he hand-planted, but it has prospered. And he offered every guest a little hand magnifying glass, not just to look out with eyes to see, but eyes to really see, very closely, very intimately, a one-on-one adventure with each and every magic or flower that populated the land. So here you look out, I can just imagine it, these wandering souls, all just seeing what they would discover. What is the magic going to be for them? And everyone I've heard from had a unique experience of beauty. So that's what a mindful look is, and how we can connect with nature to find that way. Now, Earnest Holmes, I hadn't read this before, but this quote came across my way, and this is what he said: "I believe it was Plato who said that God is love, truth, and beauty. It has always seemed wonderful to me that one of the world's greatest thinkers should have included beauty as a necessary part of divine nature. How evident this beauty is everywhere we look. How wonderful is the landscape, the sunset, the color of the desert at dawn. How beautiful is the daffodil in its sweet simplicity. And what majestic beauty and strength in the mountain and the wave. Everything is rooted in beauty. Beauty is harmony and in right proportion. It is symmetry and charm and grace and loveliness. Surely we should identify ourselves with this terrific beauty that pours its warmth and color over everything and seems to be at the very root of our being." He goes on to say, "Spiritual wisdom starts that day that we know from now on every discovery is either a discovery of the self or related to the self in the cosmic mind. The self must raise the self by the self." Earnest Holmes, founder of our philosophy, bridging our understanding to all the multiple faith paths in the world, finding the ultimate truth in each and every one, and then bringing it, wrapping it up in a beautiful package for us to pour through and feel our own heart resonate or not, but it invites more questions. So I ask you, what is calling you? Just think about that for a moment. Get very still. What's calling me? Only takes that moment. There it is. Only you can hear it or see it. So oftentimes we ask for advice. The best advice is just to listen. Because the other person can hear you, and maybe all they need to do is reflect back to you your question. That could be frustrating. But only you can really have the answer. If you go beyond that, that other person becomes annoying. All right, sorry I asked you. I don't want to do that. So think about this. It takes being still to not disturb that inner landscape, right? So we take a pond of muddied water, we've heard this analogy, and we just observe it as it tries to settle back into a clear reflection. And once we can leave it be, it doesn't take long for that to reveal itself. But out of our own blindness and our own, I would call it our own impatience at times, we have that temptation. We just want to stir the water. You want to get there sooner. And that stirring the water is the sticks of our discontent and our restlessness. Or we get tempted, thinking that we're being still, to just skip stones across it, to entertain ourselves while we wait. But there again, the ripples disturb the settling of the clarity that you're asking for. And there we are, resting in anticipation for the next steps, and then we skip another stone right before we get the answer. We keep disturbing the settling of those waters. We're asking for that clarity to be revealed. So all of this restlessness needs to just quiet itself down. So it is with our spirit, and so it is in the field of the mind. So if we're too agitated, restless, bullheaded, think about your own way of being sometimes, we just keep stirring waters of spirit. And the thought within and the true knowing gets muddied up as well. We might even mask the truth by our habits. We could conjure up conspiracy theories as to why some outer influence is challenging our way, influencing our way. And this is what Michael Beckwith did so beautifully, bringing out and Andrea talked about it Dr. Andrea a few weeks ago, about the 4 levels of consciousness. That first level, where we all find ourselves in time and again, no matter how evolved we have worked ourselves, to be the victim of something. And we're never the victim. And as we evolve in our consciousness, something greater is revealed for our own resources. So Carl Jung says, who looks outside is just dreaming. Who looks inside awakens. So here's a story that I'd like to share that helps to draw us in. The outer world into which I was born was rather chaotic and turbulent, to say the least. I spent many of my waking hours on guard, wondering when the next home makeover might be. It didn't take much to send my first stepfather into a fit of rage. Life with my second stepfather didn't bring much more in the way of peace either. These experiences forced me to withdraw into the safe confines of my own world. The innocence of a child, they know. It is one that I built inside of myself as a way of dealing with the chaos of the outside world. I was too young to control or to be able to control what was going on or influence what was going on outside of me. But I learned early on that I did have control over my own thoughts and actions. I'm going to pause there. When you go back, it's just almost like you want to tell your children, could you write the Bible for me? Could you write the sacred text for me? I want to remember. I want to go back and learn. I want to learn from the innocents because the children know. So precious. That's why being a teacher is such a holy path. So every adventure and each new meandering footpath into the unknown introduces me to an unexplored corner of my own inner landscape, one that is equally as complex as the one that's outside of me. Sitting beside a lake in stillness allows me to reflect upon my life and make sense of who I am, and as importantly, who I'm not, and further understand the events that shape me. As far as I have been walking outdoors into the wilderness, I have also been traveling inwards. As I deepen my understanding of my inner world, so my understanding of Mother Nature and her ways deepens too. It's an eternal cycle. That was written by Brad Carr. He wrote a piece called Exploring the Inner Landscape, the Soul Retrieval Through Nature Photography. So those of you that are kind of, maybe put your camera away because we have the cell phones all the time, you might bring it out, polish it up, and go have an adventure. Ask the questions, and then follow your lens and see what nature reveals to you. Make a journal of it. So I'm most awed, though, of life, how many times that we are given direction. My son and I were talking about that recently. Usually, in threes. It happens, right? 3 confirmations. I don't know, some people are nodding. That's been my way. You know, something happens and then it happens again and then a third time and you're going, okay, I'm listening. So if we're not following that, we're going to pass it by. So know your own cues to pay attention. We have to break it down to get confident, don't we? To be really willing to see what is going to be true for us. What's true for us at the core of our being. This is the self, what's called the self-actualization, right? Do you remember Maslow's hierarchy, right? Self-actualization. So born within each of us is a natural tendency for creativity. When the natural tendency is revealed, and it is all through your lifetime, you know what you like to do, it has gifted you with an insight and a desire to pursue more knowledge around that spark of enthusiastic curiosity as a small child, to invest more energy towards that interest. And it takes becoming self-aware, doesn't it, for that longing for personal growth. That's why you're here. That's why this place is so special in so many ways. When people say, what do you teach there? What do you believe in? We have to hand it back to them. What do you believe in? And come here, and see if it resonates with your core truth. Because there's this idea, as we're looking and longing for this personal growth, we have to also develop a rather indifference to other people's opinions about what we're doing. And that's hard to do because we somehow are always looking for approval. Maybe that started with those darn star charts in school. You know, who knows? But that seeking approval by am I okay? I mean, how many stars do I have? Tim Kellett's getting ahead of me. You know, it's just this idea of we're okay as we're moving along, as we're following our own guidance. And those star charts, I think, seem to block our own intuitive confidence. So it is your true potential, think about that, inside yourself, that's longing to be expressed and ultimately to be in service to the world. Take a pause and think again of your peak experiences. We've all had them. They're not lasting long, but they're peak experiences. Embedded in them is your destiny. Isn't that interesting? How you might still be wondering, how do I translate these moments into self-actualizing insights then? How do I do that? A peak experience happens because it meant something to you. Otherwise, it'd have just gone on by. I remember when Charlie and I had the privilege to travel in India, we went to these 7 sacred bodies of water. Okay, one ocean. But for somehow in that area, they had developed 7 pools. And you were invited to dress in pure white and run through them. And you'd stop at one of the falls where there was a wise, sage-looking person standing there in holy garb. And he would pour a bucket of water on you. You'd hold up your hands, he would say a chant, and then you would be doused with this water, and then you'd run to the next. Now, the interesting thing is, Charlie had a bad hip experience during that, and he couldn't run very well, but somehow, magically, we were both running. I have bad feet, he had a hip, but we were running, laughing, joyful, and also aware, same ocean, but that one tasted like sulfur. Oh, I drank India water. Woo. You know, some of these thoughts would come in and block it. And then the other times the water was hot. Sometimes the water was, bone-chilling cold. Fascinating as we made our way through that. Those were moments to me, a peak experience of being blessed in a foreign country, a country that for some reason I've been enchanted with since I was a teenager. So it meant something to me. And what we realized, it's because we valued the influence of the whole experience. And so what does that mean? What you value is being revealed in these peak experiences. So you have to kind of think back on them. And you begin today to narrow down your understanding and start to realize, what are my strongest values? What do I really value? I mean, they can be listed out. Brene Brown has a great list, many columns of what your values are. Oh, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. You can circle them, but really know them. Go back and discern, what are my top 5? Your heart is invested in those values. That's why it's important. What's motivating you is what you value. And when you start to take them for granted, you miss a lot along the way. But the moments of peak experiences will reveal those to you. Name them, and they'll lead you to a sense of purpose. If that's what I value, how do I let that lead me? How do I find my way? This is the space you want to live from anyway, and that's going to lead you to living your authentic life. So if you're observing very carefully, your heart will always answer. So this book, I was going to share something from it, The Light Maker's Manifesto, filled with these true stories, interviews that she had with many of the light makers of our times, and they're leading with a certain energy that they discovered that shaped the legacy of their own lifetime. So these are all light keepers that are standing for change. Her own revelations, as you read through her work, give us pause to find similar. You kind of pause and go, oh, I've done that. And it kind of validates you in a really sweet, beautiful way. So all of the stories are spreading light. And there was one of the novelists that she interviewed that said, her name Edith Wharton, there are 2 ways of spreading light. Be the candle, or the mirror that reflects it. Isn't that beautiful? So, the invitation here, and as I read just a short snippet, your innate gifts, talents, and interests. See what you hear, and you know this first person, Arun Gandhi. He was Mahatma Gandhi's grandson, and one of her role models, idols, and she was invited to a conference to speak, and he was also on as a lead keynote speaker listed. And here she describes his background. He's an activist in his own right, born and grew in apartheid. Am I saying that right? Somebody correct me. Huh? But nobody knows it. I can just say what I want, huh? I love it. Now I'm really shaken. I did it at home. Apartheid. You know what I'm talking about, right? South Africa? I'm so embarrassed. Lindy, can you kind of edit this part out? Apartheid. Well, I'm going to skip it when I come across it again, but thank you very much. You said it very clearly. That's embarrassing, but I carry on because I'm not listening to those voices that are shouting at me inside my head right now. You fool. Anyway, South Africa. Life under this regime was exceedingly difficult. As he tells it, as a child, he was constantly getting into fights. The black kids didn't like him because he wasn't black. The white folks didn't like him because he clearly wasn't white. After he had gotten in tons of bloody scuffles, his parents decided to send him back to India to live with his grandfather, who was rising to the height of his popularity. And she pauses. Would that we all could send our difficult children to Grandpa Gandhi when they get out of hand? That's so cute. While living with his grandfather, Mr. Gandhi continued his regular schooling, but he was also educated in the ways of peace and nonviolence and in the activist work that he continues to this day. So in all of this, Just that short snippet, so you realize somebody's life, look at the hardship of that. Living in a very difficult era, and then being sent away from home because you got in too many fights. He didn't end up in a prison. He ended up being a light maker, a life changer. And I'll leave you to read it yourselves to see exactly how that unfolded. But one of the things that I really appreciated him saying was what his grandfather taught him. He said, the Mahatma believed that these skills and talents and gifts are merely given to us in trusteeship. That's the beauty. We think we own what comes up for us. We think we own those values. We think we created them in some form or way. And somehow they define our worthiness. But the way Gandhi turns that around, flips that, he just put them in our trust. The divine, the way, the one, sprinkled these divine qualities within us, and those that shine the brightest, they're in our trust. So go be those. Let that light shine. I just think I've been reflecting on that all week long. The second sharing of her insights is the power of journaling. Now, I think, Mary, you're doing a journaling class this summer, right? Another one? Memoir. She's doing a memoir writing. But many people that have taken Dr. Mary's writing classes, they've been life-changing. And our sweet Shirley here does Morning Pages for years now. She has many journals. Morning Pages is what Julia Cameron recommends. It is the time where you sit and talk to your deepest self. You can name who that is in you, so you have a familiarity, maybe a character that you're talking to. And you need to be able to write it and not, get on the computer and let that be a separation from the flow. You get the hand going and you just start writing early in the morning. And you can start with a question, and then you can pause for a moment and not clutter it with an ego, I got to get this done because I got to get to work kind of feeling. Let it go and let the answers be revealed. She calls it the miracle of Morning Pages, and they will help clarify your yearnings, which is important. So you dedicate to these practices, and you have that deep conversation with the self within, and you start to witness, I am connected to spirit because something now is happening through me, as me, and I'm starting to see the purpose of my life revealed. So why wouldn't we go there for our information, as I have a question myself? And you can start with a question, maybe as simple as, what's my purpose? Write it down and then get still. The important thing is you cannot censor it. You can't say, I want to say that differently. Then go ahead in the next sentence, but don't cross out anything. Just keep going. Don't break the flow. Don't change the grammar. Don't correct your spelling. Don't look for punctuation errors. Just freestyle writing. No judgment, no erasing. And this is how the author, Karen, did it. She said, if I didn't practice law, what would I do? How would this add meaning and purpose to my life? How could I make the world better? Small questions. But whatever comes up for you, try it. Try it this week. Just start. And even if it seems wild and nonsensical, just do 3 pages, the handwritten, and see what's whispering back to you, what's longing to be revealed. Thoughts, beliefs, your values, your emotions, your fears, yes, they will surface. It'll all come up. But they've also all been influencing you along the way. Your strength, all of those strengths are also revealing themselves. Everything's getting your attention when you sit with yourself long enough. Remember who you are, and this will expand your understandings. And stay open at the top. Keep reminding yourself, I want to be open. I want to shift. I want to change. I want to be the catalyst of change in this world. And let this self-discovery then become the key of your spiritual journey and finding your way. Now, this idea of self-discovery is key. Self-actualization is key to your spiritual journey and finding your way. Patterns will be seen, also self-deprecating ways that you've influenced yourself, those will expose themselves as well. But don't allow any of this to limit your growth. Earnest Holmes says, in the divine providence of good, salvation is unnecessary, but self-discovery is essential. We do not save that which was lost, we merely discover that which needs to be found. So, self-inquiry, documenting your way. That inner critic, I guarantee, will amp up. They'll go, oh boy, I got her attention now. So be it. Just have a keen observance and allow it to have a name. Have a conversation with it. And then unfriend it, to be like social media. Just allow that idea, just get past it all. So I'm beating it to death here a little bit, but I believe when we come across those moments, just give it a sweet blessing or an affirmation to seal it with love so that you can move on. This Earnest Holmes, I'm just going to close with this, and I'm going to invite Judy up in just a moment, and we're just going to close with a little practice of this, not the journaling, but just the reflecting, because listen to what Earnest Holmes says here, and let your heart really hear. He said, the road to self-discovery often calls for the clearing away of the underbrush of ignorance, fear, superstition, and the sense of isolation that has made us feel that we were unworthy, unheld, and lost. In the divine providence of good, salvation is unnecessary, but self-discovery is essential. We do not save that which was lost, we merely discover, again, that which needs to be found. So life is waiting for us to discover. Look at the natural laws around you and discover yourself within that. Discover your relationship with the whole. And finally, Earnest Holmes, there's an inner life into which we may plunge, an inner consciousness in which we may bathe. As water purifies itself by flowing, so our inner realization of the flow of life through us purifies the stagnant pools. So we return to our opening. Judy, I'll have you come up. I always like how Reverend Andy says we're going to tie a bow on this. I always think that's so dang clever. So as she plays, I'd invite you to just settle into your own mind, body, and take a pause of, holding what you want to hold and letting go of that which seems not yours to take in. But remember right now that everything is alive. Think about your journey here. Everything's related. Every rock, every stream, every tree, every kindred part is spirit. The shapes of stones on your path, everything is sacred now. And you're opening to hear the spirit within all that you see, to sing to you. Notice it all. Slow down. What is growing unexpectedly near you? What are the rhythms you've been aware of? Do you feel solid earth, the mother beneath you? Mother, I can feel you under my feet. Mother, I can hear you. Mother, I can hear your heartbeat. Feel it all singing through you. Where I stand is holy. Holy is the ground. Forest, mountain, river, listen to the sound. Great Spirit circling all around us. Ah, the self, held by the Great Mother. We plant our seeds. We pray. We love. This is our inner landscape, our soul landscape. This is where we deeply feel. This is where we are complete. Be still. Be still to discover what landscape is now seeming to appear as your mind wanders. Think of those, and which one makes you feel at home? Where do you want to be? Does your inner self long for the green woods, the open plains, the high mountains, the vistas, the ocean shore, vivid blue water, a forage, a good jungle, a field, a tundra, your own backyard? What calls you? Feel the ground of that underneath you and note the colorscape that you see. Note the air, note the place that you choose to seat and observe. And even notice what beautiful animal or bird or insect or lizard, snake, to a snail, to a butterfly. What is nature informing you? Oh, so as Rumi can say, and you, will you begin that long journey into yourself? Pay attention, dear ones, this week. Pay attention to your inner landscape and to the beautiful land all around us, this sacred land. What do you see? And how does it relate to you? Know thyself. Know thyself. And this blessing upon you from Earnest Holmes: to find God in the sunset is to shadow the landscape with the softness of his beauty and the glow of the presence. Discover the divine in the rising sun, bathing the world in the atmosphere and conviction of eternal newness of the Ancient of Days, and to find the divine in each other proclaims the impersonal personalness of that which forever peoples this and all the world with the divine presence, the all-pervasive and complete reality. This is the time, and we are in deep gratitude. We are in deep gratitude. I want you to feel your heart right now. The portals are open. Your way is clear. Your path is calling you. Go home to yourself. With great love and respect, we release this prayer, knowing that we are guided, led, held, and loved every step of the way. I release this prayer, and together we all say, and so it is. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Judy. And I'll invite my son up or Chris Miller. Not his mommy. Chris Miller, you want to take us on a little musical journey? And Christy, I don't know what I'm taking up here, but I'll sort it out. There's so many papers up here.
All right. I'm going to share the Tao Te Ching verse. Thanks, Mom. I know. So I don't know if anyone, I think most people are probably a little familiar with the Tao Te Ching. It's the Chinese text by Lao Tzu that they got the banner up there talking about, and it's one that means a lot to me, and it's helpful to navigate the unknown. And its advice is always beautifully confusing, you know. So if these words are a little confusing, they should be. So I like to kind of put them to chords sometimes. So that's what I'll share with you. So this is: the Tao is always at ease. The Tao is always at ease. It overcomes without competing. It answers without speaking a word, and arrives without being summoned. It achieves without a plan. Its net covers the whole universe, and though its meshes are wide, it doesn't let a thing slip through. you realize that all things change, there is nothing you'll try and hold on to. If you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing that you can't achieve. But trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. You'll only cut your hand. Ancient masters didn't try to educate the people, but kindly taught them to not know. 'Cause when they think that they know the answers, people are difficult to guide. But when they know that they don't know, people can't find their own way. If you want to learn how to lead, avoid being clever or rich. The simplest pattern is the clearest. Content with an ordinary life, you can show people the way back to their own true nature. Lao Tzu. Thank you.
I'd like to invite the ushers forward, please. Did you hear that? I felt like I whispered that. Okay, I'm ready now. As I prepared to give my offering, my heart is filled with love and appreciation, since what I am offering is here for my spiritual well-being. I am filled with gratitude, knowing life stays in balance, for as I give, I receive. I give thanks for the blessed donations received in the offering this morning and during the week. I know each dollar supports this spiritual family in many ways as we grow together, pray together, and give thanks for all that this center has been blessed with today and always. And so it is.
It's one of those peak experiences. Chris, we'll have you come up and do a closing piece.
All right, thanks for letting me play here. This is, I grew up in this church, and this was always probably the most terrifying thing I could possibly do. So I'm used to playing in, smoky bars and things like that. So, but thanks for listening and being here. So the last song I'll sing is one that I wrote a few years ago, and I released an album and I called it Eternal Return, and it was inspired by the idea of this collective journey we're all on to kind of remember ourselves in our truest form. So it's a little bit of a darkness to light kind of story, but it's called Into the Elements. I was out of my element. I had direction, but my faith was skewed. I was benevolent, but there was anger and I was confused. This was the death of me. Failure I fell into. So how can we fight it all? How can we fight at all? If you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand. And if you want to take something, you must first allow it to be given. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. 'Cause love doesn't see a thing, and gazes into what is true, into the best of us. What I know in me, I know in you. So how can we fight it all? How can we fight at all? The soft overcomes the hard, the slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. We move into the elements, into the history of 10,000 things, into the reverence, into the silence where nature sings, into the primal cause, the dancing that fire brings. This is the emptiness, and it's the origin of all our being. And it's where we begin again. I always like to end on a little awkward note at that. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you, everyone.
Peak experience for a mom. Thank you, son. When he was just a little baby, and I was so into chanting, and he chanted his right through the birth canal. There it comes. I'm still chanting, and I used to daydream that my kids would have a vocal way with their expression in life. And Lindy's, my daughter there, has a beautiful voice, and my son is following that. And I think those are the seeds. Those are the seeds of the divine that were known to me at their birth. And it's just so wonderful to share with my larger family here that part of the wholeness. So thank you, son. It's well done. The invitation now is, if you don't get up quick enough, you're going to be stacked up against the wall, all right? Because here it goes. There's some refreshments in the social hall for you to enjoy, and watch out, because if you leave your purse or anything in here, it's going to be on the parking lot sale. So watch your belongings, hold on to your things tight. This is me here as I'm watching. I'm looking around the center going, that's mine, mine, that's mine. I got to put that in the office, that's mine. So I'm going to be busy taking all the things that our center owns and putting it in there safely so nobody can buy it. Isn't that something, how stingy I'm feeling? But it's all for the greater good. So enjoy your day, have a happy day, and enjoy the bookstore as well. Look for those Mark Nepo books, and there's a few copies of the manifesto in there as well. Huh? Oh, and buy plants, yes, thank you.